Hey guys, Jesse here, and today I'll be taking a look at the Master Grade Gundam EZ8 from the series '08 MS team. Now, this review is going to be a little biased because the EZ8 is actually one of my favorite mobile suit designs and just actually one of my favorite robot designs ever. I'm really into the blocky, uh, heavy hitter ground pound kind of looking suits rather than sort of the sleek suits from stuff like Seed and stuff. Not that I don't like them, it's just I prefer this sort of look and aesthetic over those. So let's just get right to it. Obviously, this isn't how he comes out of box. I did a battle damage and weathering job on him. Um, just to go over what I did in terms of paint and stuff is I did my sort of regular weathering battle damage technique. I have a whole video series on how I do this, so be sure to check that out. But I gave it bullet holes mainly. I wanted to focus more on scuffs and bullet holes and more like ballistic damage because in '08 MS team there's not really any beam weapons. There's beam sabers, but most of the time it's more like live ballistic ammunition. So focus mostly on that. I had bullet holes kind of going across here. My idea was he took some hits here and then it blocks some with the shield. And when I bring out the shield later, I'll show that that also has some bullet holes. But did my regular silver black dry brush with the Tamiya Weathering Masters to make these streaks across or on edges and stuff. On the bullet holes particularly, what I did was take black Weathering Masters and pull it down, just kind of put the applicator and just pull straight down, and then use some light brown rust color and then just sort of paint it down as if water was running down the suit. Muddied up the feet, really made it look like a lot of water and dirt and dust were dripping down the side of the suit. I wanted it to be like the suit had been out on missions for a while and just has the pilot hasn't had time to maintain it, or the crew, I should say. So enough about the paint. Let's just talk about the kit itself. So this is a 16-year-old kit at this point, which is kind of mind-boggling when I think about it, because I got it about 3 years ago. Just haven't had the time to build it until now. But the engineering in this is very, very 2000. The inner frame and the build is, to be frank, quite boring. It's very simple. The detail is very simple, especially in the arms. This arm is about 12 or so pieces. Actually, it might be less than that. Far fewer than modern Master Grade. The chest as well. So if you're looking for a very detailed inner frame to sort of show off, EZ8 is not. This kit isn't it. There's some nice details in the forearm here, but most of it is bare. The nicest place you're going to get it is down here in the legs, and this is actually a really nice gimmick. I'm not sure if it's a gimmick or just the design, but the armor opens up nicely whenever you move the foot around, and the armor itself comes off fairly easily because this kit is very reliant on polycaps, which is a blessing and a curse at the same time. It's cool that the armor comes off very easily so that you have different display options, but at the same time it makes the kit kind of flimsy. As you can see, he's quite wiggly and the hips are very loose. I'll talk more about the articulation when I get to it, but just to say right off the bat that the articulation on this guy is very old. It's not as robust or complex as modern Master Grades, obviously. But I will say that the proportions on this guy are really nice. I really like the mold and the proportions on this guy. Looks just like it did in the show. I like this more classic, old school, boxier look for the EZ8. I feel like slimming him down and making him sort of like HG Revive proportions would be kind of a disservice to it. Even though I'm still looking forward to the ground GM Revive. That's going to be a pretty cool kit, but the proportions on that kind of bothered me a little bit. Anyways, let's go ahead and talk a bit about the articulation. As you guys know, I don't really like to spend a lot of time on it, but I will say one strange thing is the head is really limited, and I'm not sure why. It just kind of collides with this collar a lot, but I feel like it has enough clearance, but I don't like to force it too much. The red part on the chin here, they give you a metallic red sticker for that, but I went ahead and painted that with a metallic red Gundam marker. Also, the red on this antenna is supposed to be red, it just comes gray. The base of this antenna is also supposed to be the same sort of white that this kit is, but I actually liked it just all gray, so I left that as is. That antenna right there broke the minute I put it into the head, so I just went ahead and glued it in. I would suggest you do the same. The connection for that is very poor and very thin. There's no, like, it's just on a ball joint that's connected to the waist armor. As you can see, it's very loose. That's just because it's a polycap. These are just on ball joints, so you're not really going to get in and out, up and down. It's okay, but again, trying to reach across the chest or anything, and with this huge chest, you can kind of see how far it sticks out. You're not going to really get the arm across, which is unfortunate. These things kind of go up and down. If they ever came out with a parachute pack, that would be really cool, but I don't think they ever did. I suppose you scratch built one. Other stuff that I painted, by the way, I repainted these, I guess, bars. I don't know, like parachute hooks, silver, and repainted these sort of latch points or hook points, silver as well. Repainted the ammo canister here metallic gray, and this is a nice gimmick of this kit that I really like a lot, that they did with a lot of old master grades with this sort of opening armor thing. I think this is one of the last ones to have done it, but you can pull the chest out and they have these two pieces in here that have a lot of mechanical detail, and I went ahead and painted those. So that's really nice. That's actually a nice bit of inner frame that you should take some time to paint, because those two pieces are very detailed. Of course, the cockpit opens up, and I painted Shiro in there. So that's a cool feature. As for other construction sort of notes before I move to the lower part of the kit, the arms, the waist skirt armor, and most of the legs are carbon copies of the ground GM. These arms are 100% carbon copies. I think the crotch is a little different on the ground GM, and the knee part here is different, but that's really it. So if you've built the ground GM, then you will be about 90%, well, okay, maybe like 70% familiar with this kit. The feet are also nearly identical as well. So down to here, these are just on ball joints, so they don't go out that much, which is kind of a problem for a ground Gundam. You kind of want them to have more wider stance, especially when they're standing, but for just standing there like a brick, it's pretty nice. But moving forward is pretty good. This is a problem that I sort of have. You don't have a very nice knee bend, and this kid, if you're watching the show, kneels a lot, so you can't get this. You can get that far enough, and you can get this front enough so that you can get a decent kneeling pose. You'll see in some of the spinning base shots, but the problem is that if this was a double knee bend, you could have this forward more and then this back more, and then it would be far more straight up and down and stable. But as it is, it's okay. I know at the time it was like a big deal in 2000 that you could actually have a Gundam that knelt on one knee and it looked decent. Also down here, these armor pieces, they don't move with the knee, but they do swivel, or they do hinge on here. So that's it for the articulation. Okay, definitely limited, definitely a statement to its time that it came out, but not awful. The decals on this are pretty good. You have a lot of dry transfers. You have that 81, which is very iconic. Nice shoulder decals. I'll go ahead and bring the shield in real quick to show you that. You have the very iconic 08 on the shield. The sticker decals they're okay. You can see they're quite big. The problem I have with them is that they do just say random nonsensical gibberish, but the real problem is they're kind of out of scale. Like the lettering, if you'd imagine on a robot this big, should not be that big. It's a little ridiculous just how huge the lettering on those are. Modern master grades definitely have the scale of their decals correct. Like that chest one, it makes more sense. These are just like ridiculous. And then you have some on the back. And then obviously there's not that many on the kit, so we're not talking Verka levels of decals, but I don't know. For something with this sort of old school looking, I think it's okay to have fewer decals. One thing I forgot to mention, I was just working on posing this guy for the spinning base shots, and I just remember something about the build and the posability is that there's actually screws in the elbows. So this was a thing that a lot of older master grades had, were screws in the like in the knees and the elbows. So this makes it you kind of have a choice of whether or not you want those arms sort of looser or really tight. I like mine a bit more tighter just because it'll hold weapons better. But yeah, that's just one thing to note. So there's screws in the elbows here, and you kind of have the choice how tight you want to get those. But don't go get them too tight, or else when you bend the arm, you risk snapping the plastic before from the tension of the screw. So let's take a look at the accessories. So first thing I just showed earlier, we have the shield. Nice shield, nicely sculpted. Like I said, I did the bullet hole thing. Did some mud because usually they put their shields in the ground a lot. You can plug it in here to the side of the arm, or this comes out. You can flip that out, and they can hold it with the posable hands, but it really doesn't hold it well at all, and I don't get why you would ever want to hold it in the hand. And it plugs into the side like so. Now, the problem is it goes on either arm just fine, but the problem is the connection is a polycap, and mine's already getting torn up, like most older master grade polycaps did. So that's going to be loose eventually if I keep pulling it in and out. So I'm going to put that in and never take it out again. But connects just fine, and you can get that facing forward, and everything's good. Next thing we got is the beam rifle, and as you can see, I painted this. Now, I'm cheating a little bit. This is actually my ground Gundam beam rifle that I built a long time ago and painted. The thing is, the machine gun and the beam rifle that this kit comes with is a carbon copy of the one from the ground GM. The runner even says like MG 1-100 RGM 79 blah blah blah. So yes, this is the one from my other kit, but they're the same. And as you can see, I painted it up pretty nice. Decided to use it for this kit since I'm using the sniper rifle for that one. The machine gun here, also very nice. The stock can hinge back and forth. I like the design. Secondary handle comes out just fine, but since you can't move the arms across, it's very hard to get two hands on this thing. Next accessory we have is the bazooka, and I love the design of this bazooka. As you can see, I repainted it metallic gray and then did my weathering job on it. It's just a really nice looking bazooka. This part moves back and forth for the shoulder, and they don't give you stickers for the sides here, so I have to paint that, but it's really, really nice. It's, I think, 4 parts that split up, and then you put it together, and then it comes apart to put in the sort of backpack thing I'll show later. But one problem with this is it's 4 sections, and each section is just 2 pieces put together. So you're going to have seam lines. Just imagine this whole thing just has one big seam line goes around it for each individual part. So they're really easy to fix though, because it's all rounded pieces or flat parts. So not too upset about that. But yeah, it's just really nice. It's a really nicely designed bazooka. And to hold the weapons, they give you a small selection of hands. As you can see on him right now are fixed closed fist hands, you get two posable hands, the very old master grade ones with 3 and then the 1 and thumb. These are on a hinge, so you can't separate them. A problem with these hands is there's no peg or anything like that, and there's no peg in any of the weapons, so it's just holding it by pure friction and grip, which isn't always the best. They hold the weapons okay, but yeah, they're. I mean, at this point, they're bad, but you can still work with them. They're not. It's not like they can't hold the weapons at all. And then you have two open style hands. Now, I really appreciate that I get both posable hands and fixed pose hands, because the problem with the posable ones is you can't get a tight fist like this, nor can you get an open hand wide like this. But these open hands are really ugly. As you can see, I didn't bother to weather them or anything. They're just, the pose is bad and the fingers are all the same length, and it just, I don't know. Well, I guess the fingers being all the same length isn't a big problem, but they look so boring. So uh, there's that. You get two beam sabers. Forgot to mention them because they're not. I mean, they're just beam sabers. Are really basic. They actually store, the handles actually store on the side of the leg, and opening that side piece and is difficult on its own. Getting these in properly is even more difficult, and getting them out is even more difficult. Yeah, so I just don't put them in there, and I don't really suggest you do it either, unless you're going for some pose that he's pulling the beam saber out of his leg. You also get this piece that you use to hook on the bazooka onto the shield. I don't recall that pose or that feature in the show, so I don't know why they give you this, but it's there. You get one extra ammo clip, and then you get the backpack thing. You can see it and weather it because I don't like this thing at all. I like the idea of it, and I thought I would really like it, but after building it, it's so plain. It's I feel like even adding just like damage and nice weathering to this thing and everything would make it look better, but it's so devoid of any lines or anything. You definitely want to scribe this thing a bit. It's weird. I thought I would like this thing a lot, and I still do like the idea of it. I liked it in the show, but after building it, it's just, yeah, I don't like it. The inside's really nice though, that's for sure. This is a spot where you can break up the bazooka and put it in there. I'm not going to do that because I have paint on it and it'll just scratch it, but it looks pretty cool in there. But yeah, it's just really boring. Clips onto the backpack, like so. Pull this down. That goes like that. These two are on one track, so when you pull one up, they both go up. Then you can just slide this thing in. And there you go. It's very hollow, or very thin, I should say. Obviously it's hollow, there's nothing in it, but it's just very thin plastic, so it's very light, so the Gundam doesn't really have any balance issues with it. Putting the bazooka in there doesn't affect it either. I tried it before I painted everything, and it's fine. It works out fine. And again, this looks great. It's just, this thing is just it's so plain. But anyways, it's a cool accessory. Definitely something that I know a lot of people will like. And for anyone who does do scribing, bless your soul. But I'm sure you can make that look great. Just putting these back into place. Oh yeah, I also did repaint the thrusters that silver as well and weathered them. So overall, again, I really like the EZ8. Again, it's one of my favorite MS designs and robot designs. So for me, I really like it, but maybe for people looking for an interesting build, or perhaps the design doesn't appeal to you, and I don't know, maybe you don't want to deal with subpar poseability. I can understand skipping this kit and maybe going for the high grade, because the high grade came out later and it's far more poseable, and you may like the proportions better. But for me, I quite adore this kit actually. I like it far more than maybe I really should, but it's it's more of a personal uh, attachment that I have to this kit rather than I don't know, me looking at it critically. So I'm gonna put up some spinning base shots, some spinning base shots up right now. I'm not gonna get this up on an action base because I forgot to mention, but there's no action base connector, so I'd have to use the fork connectors. This is a ground base Gundam. The fork connectors suck, so I'm just gonna put this thing on the ground like it really should be. All right, well, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all next time. Bye bye.